Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Well, this is the Valentine's Day show. I mean, I won't be on air officially on Valentine's Day, but we can celebrate a little bit earlier. And a lot of people sort of ask, what to buy, what not to buy. Look, I think the most important thing is be present. The best present you can give your betrothed, your loved one, is you being there and being fully focused and being, focusing all your attention on them, making them feel special and important. It's not always about the most expensive gift or the biggest bunch of red roses or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's just your time is all that people are looking for. And that's what makes them feel special and important. So, think carefully before you start spending big bucks on a big gift. Maybe you can do something that makes that person feel really special. Cook them a nice meal, spend the day with them, do something nice. Even go and do grocery shopping. That might be a big thing for them if, you take that off their list. Try and find something creative this year other than spending money. Anyway, the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Ace of Cups. Now, this is an interesting card because a lot of people look at this and they say, oh, the Ace of Cups, we've got the hand coming out of nowhere with a cup and water sort of flowing down the sides, and we've got a white dove and the peace sign above. It is the card of security. Now, when we talk about security, we're not always talking about financial security. We could be talking about emotional security. We could talk about feeling secure in your life or being secure in yourself. And I think it takes a long time before you get to a point that you feel secure in who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, and you just say, well, either you take me as I am or you don't. I'm secure in who I am. So this can be that card that's sort of representing that you finally found your little piece of paradise, your little piece of security. Sometimes it's also alternatively the offer of a helping hand. Now, look, there's many times in our lives where we need, a helping hand from someone else, and sometimes it comes as a little bit of a surprise. Now, this is what this card represents. It's coming from a person that you least expect or somebody you didn't expect that would offer a helping hand. It's not somebody that's always first in the queue to give you a hand in many areas of your life. This is something unexpected. It's something that you weren't banking on, and it's a really nice surprise to sort of have somebody come up and say, hey, do you need a hand with that? So astrologically, we've got a big week as always. I mean, look, each week my inbox is full with people sort of saying how they really enjoy it or how it helps them get through their week, or they go back and watch it on the replay. Look, whichever way you catch up on the astrology section, just know that it's something I do only half an hour before the show so that it is up to the minute as much as possible. And I don't look at sort of breaking down the 12 signs. I try and give you an overview that will comfortably fit with all the 12 signs, but I'll break it down into if it's more definite or more precise for a particular group of people, I will say that. But most times when I'm talking about it affecting each and every one of us. It just depends on how much. So happy birthday to all the Aquarians. We've only got a little bit over a week now of the time in Aquarius. So we should really all treasure this time, no matter what your star sign is, because it's giving us the opportunity to think outside the square, to do some sort of thinking that sort of is light bulb moments. People sort of say, where did that idea come from? And you say, I don't know, it just came to me. It's that very creative time of the year where we can have these thoughts, these ideas that come in that aren't of the norm. They're not sort of normal thinking for us. So let's go with the flow of that, because it's a very exciting time no matter what your star sign is. I mean, obviously, if you're an Aquarian, you're in your birthday month, you're having a great time, and you've got Pluto just slowly starting to bite in there. And I think Aquarians are just starting to sort of say, hang on a minute, what's Pluto going to be here for? How long? Oh, I don't know whether I can handle this. Well, buckle up, princess. You've got to be able to handle it. Pluto's there for a very long time and will bring about a lot of changes in people's lives, and not just Aquarians. It's going to be, world-changing events. There's going to be lots of things that Pluto's going to bring to the table, because Pluto does think outside the square. His role is to come along and shake things up, and in the Aquarian fashion, which is I enjoy being different and I know everything, and just ask me and I'll tell you. So, seems like a very self-centered time, and I suppose it is in some ways with the Aquarian energy, but Pluto will knock that little bit of I know everything out of the road a bit and sort of say, hang on a minute, these are the lessons we're here to learn. So it's going to be a very interesting ride as we go through the years with Pluto and Aquarius. But anyway, let's get back to the Aquarian birthday. So happy birthday for the Aquarians. I know that it's your time to shine. It's your time to sort of really start looking forward to the next 12 months and what you can bring in personally for you. So the sun Sun is in Aquarius at the moment, which is conjunct or holding hands Mercury, the planet of communication. Now, this is a really interesting transit because Mercury does like to sort of share with us information, knowledge, things like that. Mercury sometimes can be sort of a little bit outspoken no matter what star sign he's in. But when he's in Aquarius here, it's sort of like it's amplified. It's like it's in your face. If you're not taking notice, I'll spin you around and say to you, were you listening to me? I've got something important to say. And it may not necessarily sit comfortably with your views. It may be something that you sort of think, well, hang on a minute, why is this sort of happening? And, you know, it's sort of like a time where we sometimes want to switch off, particularly from political leaders or people that are supposedly in the know, and they're not talking about things that we either feel comfortable with or are really important in our lives, so we want to switch off. And then the next thing you know, they're back there again and even stronger and better, and it doesn't matter which channel you turn to or which device you go to, there they are again. It's like a bad smell, they keep turning up. But sometimes that's the way things are. So the intensity at the moment is a lot of intensity with communication in Aquarius. So it's going to be sort of going out in the airwaves. No matter how you get your news, you're going to be sort of bombarded with it and sort of almost feel like you want to go back to bed and pull the covers back up over your head and pretend nothing's happening in the world. Unfortunately, we can't all do that. It'd be nice to be able to do it, but we can only do it for a few minutes at a time. So we also have this, as I've just mentioned, the Sun's in Aquarius. Now, the Sun in Aquarius is making another, what we term in astrology terms, not necessarily the easiest of transits. It's called the square. So when it's called the square, it means it's 90 degrees or between 83 and 97 degrees in the allowable aspect of the planet that we're talking about. So the Sun at the moment is in Aquarius, which is squaring Uranus in Taurus. Now, this is a very uncomfortable sort of transit. It will be affecting Aquarians, Librans, Geminis, and the opposite sign of Leo. It will also be affecting the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio. For the rest of the signs, it'll just wash over. It won't be anywhere near as intense as it is for those 8 signs that I've talked about. Now, when we have the Sun squaring anything or any sort of square, it means it's uncomfortable. There's work to be done. There's things here that are not going to sit comfortably. Now, the Sun is where we radiate from our drive, what gets us out of bed of a morning. It's not necessarily, some people sort of write it up as where our ego comes from. I like to say it's where we like to shine, because that's where the Sun was at our birth, is in that particular sign. Now, when we're talking about Uranus, Uranus is the planet of the unusual, the unexpected. It's like the bolt of lightning striking the ground. It's a bit like the Tower card in the tarot. It's something that sort of strikes us out of nowhere or seemingly out of nowhere. I mean, all the years that I've been working with astrology, and it's been a very long time now, my interpretation of Uranus is if you work with the energy, it's nowhere near as life-changing or devastating or hard-hitting. It's only when you go against it. You know, you've had plenty of warning signs to sort of say that there's got to be change. You've got to make changes in your life. And most humans are pretty stubborn. And I put my hand up there too. I can be as stubborn as the next one. Say, oh, no, I don't want that, or I can't do that, or I can't do this, or that's not going to happen. And that's when Uranus comes along and says, well, we'll see about that. You know, I've given you every opportunity to make some changes in your life, to sort of listen to what I've got to say. You haven't listened to me, so now I'm going to come in like the bolt of lightning. I'm going to shake things up. I'm going to get things where they need to be. Now, you need to be very aware. The Sun sitting in Aquarius is a fixed sign. So it's fixed, it's rigid, it doesn't like to be told anything. It sort of is a very full of itself sort of energy in a sense. The Aquarian energy is I know. And a lot of Aquarians come across as being sort of basically emotionless. They're not sort of wearing their heart on their sleeve. They're internalizing it. Yes, they do get emotional like every other person. They just don't show it. It's more in the pit of their stomach or in their head than it is to sort of really sort of show that they've got any sort of emotions. If they have them on the inside in their tummy, they internalize them and pretend they're not there. It's more going on in their head. Now, with Tauruses, Taurus is, again, a fixed, rigid sort of sign, but it's an earth sign. So it's a practical, logical, down-to-earth, stubborn, pig-headed sort of sign that says, I'm not going to create changes unless I decide that they want to happen. Well, Uranus has come along and said, well, look, you've had plenty of opportunity. I've given you plenty of warning in the last 6 to 8 months when I was retrograde to sort of make adjustments, to make changes to things in your life that I was showing you very clearly need to be addressed. Now, if you haven't addressed those, that's when this square is going to become very difficult, because there will be that bolt of lightning out of the clear blue sky, an accident, a tragedy, and something that changes, something that you weren't expecting or didn't want to happen, doesn't seem very pleasant to begin with. But I must stress, it usually ends up being for our own good, even though at the time we don't see it, we don't understand it. And look, I know there's a lot of astrologers sort of think along the lines that we create the accidents or the changes or the whatevers that happen in our lives. I'm not totally in agreement with that. I've never met anybody that got out of bed and said, great, I'm going to have a car accident today. You know, it may be, yes, blocked energies, maybe not working with the energies of the planets that create this, or ends up, we can see in hindsight, well, what happened at that time, because, you know, you've got a sun square Uranus in your chart. What happened then in that particular time? You say, oh, yes, that's when I did such and such or such and such. So it's easy to look back in hindsight to sort of say what happened then than it is to predict what could happen with a transit like this. All as I can share with you is my knowledge, and say to you, if you're any of those signs that I've spoken about and you've been ignoring, putting off, not making the changes, or the things that you know that you have to change or look at something, please don't leave it any longer. Don't wait for Uranus to be that bolt of lightning and strike the ground. So we're going to move on to now, and it doesn't even sound a little bit more positive than what we were talking about. I suppose it is in lots of ways. We're going to be talking about Saturn sitting in Pisces. Now, we're talking about the water signs here. We're talking about Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and the opposite sign is Virgo. But we're talking about a pleasant transit now. We're talking about a trine. So a trine is where things flow, things become easier. And we're talking about Mars in Cancer. So these are both in water signs. So we're still talking about the same water signs, but we're also going to bring in the opposite sign of Capricorn now with the Mars side of things. So Saturn here is the planet of discipline. He's asking us to sort of really sort of try and structure things, to be sort of, you know, positive about what we're doing, but do it in a methodical, organised sort of way. And he's giving us the structure to be able to do so with the trine here going to Mars. Now, Mars is the planet of action. This is the one that makes us get out of bed of a morning. This is where our ego, our drive comes from. And sometimes Mars can go a little bit out of control. Now, let me assure you, Mars does not feel comfortable sitting in Cancer, because Mars is full of energy, full of gusto and robust sort of energy, and, you know, me first and let's go and all these sort of things. And Cancer is a little bit more timid. I'm not saying less strong. I'm saying a little bit more timid, likes to do things in an understated sort of way. Let's do it sort of slowly and gently. So there's a little bit of a power struggle going on there with Mars in Cancer. But it's an interesting time, because of those signs that I've spoken about, and it washes over to the rest of us, you know, in a more gentle sort of way. It's a time to get the, you know, the structure in your life out there. The creative energies are happening. You've got openings and opportunities that can come in many, many different ways. And you've got to get motivated. You've got to be able to go out there and sort of put your ego out front and centre and sort of do it in a way that it's gentle and caring and sort of not bombastic, but you're getting people to listen and sort of take notice of what you're trying to do. This is a very, very, very powerful transit. So if you are a Pisces, this is the time when you can make the most impact. People are really listening. People are sort of soaking up your knowledge, your wisdom, and sort of trying to apply it to their own lives. So it's a really important time for Pisces here. It's almost like you're a little bit of a leader here, a little bit of a guru, where people are soaking up what you've got to say, and they're sort of looking to you to some sort of guidance and some sort of leadership. So it's really interesting that how things are sort of going on. We've got Neptune also conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces, which is the creative sort of side of things. The North Node is showing us the way forward, and it's still in Pisces, so it's affecting those water signs and the opposite sign of Virgo. It's conjunct or holding hands with Venus in Aries. Now, the reasons why I'm bringing this in is because anybody, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is, if you're searching for love on Valentine's Day, you need to be aware that you need to be going to sort of somewhere creative, whether it's, you know, somewhere that's musical, or to the theatre, or going for a walk in the park, or going for something like that. It's not the time where you're sort of looking at very selfish, self-centered sort of things. You've got to be out amongst the crowd, and you've got to be out amongst the crowds in some sort of creative theatrical sort of nice sort of setting, even if it's a group of people going for a picnic. And, a group of people said, everybody bring a plus one besides your plus one. Bring somebody that's single so that we can create a nice ambiance for people to meet people. This is the perfect time for that. So it's a really, really sort of nice time. I want to wrap up the astrology section very quickly with the full moon in Leo. A lot of people have been asking me about it. It's from the 13th to the 15th of this month, so it incorporates Valentine's Day. Full moon in Leo is the time to sort of be a little bit like a drama queen. It doesn't matter what your star sign is. If you're going out, you're looking for love, you're looking to sort of impress somebody, make sure it's a little bit theatrical. Make sure you put your best efforts on, and make sure your hair's done. It's one of the biggest sort of things that people sort of ask me about, the moon in Leo. The moon in Leo is about the mane. It is about the hair. It's about, if you're having a bad hair day, that's where it comes from. The moon in Leo. Got out of bed and couldn't get the hair right. I should know I have moon in Leo. But it's interesting because it's time to go out there and sort of try and think that you can meet somebody sort of special, and it's that right time of the year. So don't waste it. If you're looking for love, love finds you in the strangest of ways. And I have many stories in my book from people that I've worked with over the years. And look, you can even meet your love of your life at an event that was unexpected, like a funeral. So don't take anything for granted. If it's your turn and the universe has decided it's the right time for you to meet Mr. or Mrs. Right, they will create that flat tire. You'll bump into somebody in the market and drop the bananas, or whatever the case may be. So just be aware it's the time for love. So we're going to take our very, very first caller is Lena in St. Louis in Missouri. Are you there, Lena?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Do you have a question I can answer for you, Lena?
I don't have a question right now, but...
Okay. So there must have been a reason that you called into the show. So, did you have something on your mind you wanted me to take a look at?
Well, I was told I'd get a reading. So I'm not sure. I'm like, I don't understand what would I've never had a reading before.
Okay, sweetie. Well, most times people phone into the show because they've got an issue in their life. They want to know whether they should stay with their boyfriend or their husband. Is it time to change my job? Should I stay where I'm living? Those sort of questions. So, if you haven't got a question that springs to mind and you just rang out of curiosity, I can just go in and have a little look at your soul and sort of give you everything that they're sort of giving me. I just like to always make sure that I've given the person the opportunity to give me the direct question that may have been the reason why they phoned into the show.
No, there was no specific reason. I just wanted to get a reading.
Okay, sweetie. All right. Okay, so going into your soul, the first thing that they're showing me is in the last 6 to 8 months, there's been a lot of endings, change and transformation in your life. So have you been slowly and methodically trying to work about making your life more streamlined, more the way that you want it to be? Is that what you've been working on?
In some sort of way, yes.
Yeah, okay. They're showing me that you need to keep going with that. Not everything gets sorted in the first week or the first month. Some things are quicker than others and some things are more long-range sort of projects. Why are they showing me a pink heart that sort of keeps running away from me? Was there somebody that got away, somebody that you were hoping that there was going to be a connection, a relationship with, and it never transpired? Is that why they're showing me that?
No, that might be my mom. My mom passed away.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it will be like 3 years soon.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've been missing her a lot lately. She was my heart.
Right. Okay. That would explain that. Yeah, because I'm sorry for your loss. And I mean, 3 years is still like yesterday some days, I'm sure. And then other times it seems like a long time ago. But if she's been around you and you've been thinking about her a lot more lately, then obviously she's coming in to try and protect you in some way. She's sort of feeling like as if you need an extra big hug, like sort of. They never leave us. I want to be very clear. People sort of think that once they've passed over that they go away and they don't come back, or they don't see what's going on in our lives. I think the exact opposite is true. They are around us. They see everything that's going on, not when we're in the bathroom or showering or dressing, but, all other areas of our lives. They do see. But when somebody keeps coming in or you feel them or you're missing them more than you have been, that's usually that they feel that they need to sort of protect you or give you a hug or whatever, or they're picking up on your emotions aren't as strong as what they were, and they just want to let you know that they're there, that, you know, they may not be able to come down and have a conversation with you at the kitchen table over a cup of coffee, but they want you to know that you're not alone. And what your mum's sort of showing me was that she was, I'm going to say, ready to go. So was there a lingering illness or something that took her out?
She had lung cancer.
Right, okay. Because she was saying to me, I was ready to go. I couldn't keep fighting anymore. It wasn't that she wanted to leave you. It was just her illness became so bad that she couldn't, she just didn't have the strength to keep going. So she wants you to know that she knew that you were there. You did everything beyond and above what you could have done for her. And she hung on longer than what she should have. You know, she got a little bit longer out of things, but she just got to a point where there was just nothing left to fight with. And she wants you to understand that she never wanted to leave you. She just couldn't, there was no strength left in her. And she's sending me loads and loads of pink hearts. It's like an emoji going across the screen now. She just wants to give you all these pink hearts and let you know that she's with you every single solitary day, and that she, you know, she sees everything that's going on. She keeps telling me that you've got to open your heart up again. What does she mean by that? Does she want you to sort of open up and be ready to love again?
Well, I'm married. I better love my husband.
Okay, but she's telling me that you've got to open your heart up again. So maybe during this time of grief, you know, you've been sort of not maybe as attentive to your husband as you could have been because you've been dealing with your own stuff. That might be what she's trying to say. It's time to open your heart up and celebrate love and life again. So I hope that's helped you, Lena. I've got to move on to the next caller now, sweetie. I wish you well. Okay, we're going to talk with Joy in Rockford in Illinois in the US. Are you there, Joy?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you, Joy?
I'm not working, but I'm looking at trying to figure out where maybe I have a lot of different things I need to work on, but like possibly like maybe what kind of work I should be looking into as far as like what might be work when I'm a very, I don't know, I guess work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Joy. First thing that they were showing me as you were talking about you didn't know which way to go. You've got so many potential opportunities there, and they showed me that they don't want any of those. They want something fresh and new. They were sort of showing me that you're a great people person. You know, you need to be out amongst people. You sort of thrive on that. That's what sort of fills your tank up, is that being with people. I don't want to see you sort of shut away, being isolated. So is there something there that we could sort of maybe look at if we put all the skills on the table and we sort of put them in an order of priority? That might be a way of sort of looking at what type of work that you need to be sort of focusing on. They don't show me, you know, like you're going to be a dentist or a lawyer or a nurse or whatever. They just show me different things. And they showed me that you need to be out amongst people, that you're a very good people person, and you really thrive on that. You might come home from work exhausted at the end of the day, but you come home satisfied because you've been able to help a lot of people. So I just sort of feel we're going to get you back into something where it's the job I can see is going to be very busy, and it's going to be very time consuming, but also very, very satisfying. And I just saw you working with people, helping them sort out their lives, helping them get back on their path. But I can't put a label on it and say, okay, you're a social worker or whatever. But I think collectively, I mean, I think if you sit down and look at the things that you love to do or the things that make you smile, you'll start to see a pattern emerge. They're also showing me that you're going to have a job as early as next month. So we must be going to get some answers to this fairly quickly, and I think over the next couple of days. And you'll start applying for jobs, and there will be a job that I think you're going to start in the first or second week of March, and it's going to be sort of like maybe something that in the past you wouldn't have thought of, or it's got a different job description or a different title there. It's sort of like once we've done this analysis, or you do the analysis on what you really your skill set is and what you can bring to the table, that the job description will become clearer. But I don't know that it's necessarily completely out of your wheelhouse. It's just sort of like we've taken something and we've added and subtracted a few things, and then we've got sort of like a different title, and that's good. But this year's going to be a very, very busy year, Joy. Are you thinking of moving? Because they're showing me around June, July, there's a real question mark around where you're living. And I'm not sure whether that means
Yes,
that you're moving house.
I wasn't sure which way to move to. That was another question I was thinking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, look, it's easy for me to sort of say, well, I'm here in Australia and I'm looking at the map of America, and they're saying to me, you've got to go northeast. Sort of like if you were in the middle of America, I'd say to you, I want to head you to sort of towards New York, but I'm not saying necessarily New York. It's sort of like they're showing me that's the direction and something that I can relate to, that I can sort of share with you. So wherever your location is, I want you to sort of look at that on a map and sort of say, well, what's a bit further northeast? But within an hour or two, it's not sort of like packing up and moving across the country. It's sort of like I need to go in a northeast direction and, within a couple of hours of where I am now. But I actually think the job will help you define where it is that you're going to, because the job that you take will have the potential for maybe a different location. It's like I take it here, but I've got the opportunity of 2 or 3 different locations within a few months of where I want to decide that I want to go to. It's sort of like, initially you might be sort of working remotely, but that there's got to be a transition into an actual definite permanent move. So I hope that's helped you, Joy. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show, and that's where we have to leave, Joy. It's always very, very interesting as people are on the move. People are sort of getting over their grief. And as I said many times on the show, there is no bus timetable for grief. It's a very personal thing. Some people can go 20 years and it still feels like yesterday, and other people take it in their stride. But anyway, let's lighten the focus up. It is Valentine's Day. It's the time of love. It's the time when people should be sort of thinking about what they can do for that special someone in their life. And if you haven't got somebody in your life, then, step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Take yourself off to a movie or something creative, something that's, festival in the park or something like that, something where there's people around. So it's always a tough time if you're single at this time of the year, and there's so much, advertising and people sort of gearing up, buying roses and all those sort of things. And my heart goes out to those people. And I know there's lots of people that have lost their special someone in the last 12 months and are finding, this time incredibly difficult, where everybody else seems to be happy and you're still feeling a little bit sad and miserable and lonely because you've lost that special someone, or you've had a breakup with somebody. So for those people, sort of, buy yourself a rose, do something special for you, make yourself feel important, because you are the number one person in your life, and you can sort of celebrate Valentine's Day in that way of making yourself feel very, very special. So this week I want to leave you with what I think is the epitome of the person that was, love wrapped up into everything that, and for those that watch the show regularly, you'll know I'm a huge fan of David Cassidy, and I really do think he was the King of Hearts and, love in bloom, and, lots and lots of women around the world that are my age and younger still sort of look at him and still remember their teenage years with their posters up on the bedroom wall of, the heartthrob that David Cassidy from the Partridge Family. And I am wearing a range of jewellery from his drummer made for me personally, Terry Cote. It's beautiful jewellery. And I always think of David when I wear this sort of jewellery that Terry made for me. And it's just honours the love and the respect that they had as musicians together. So this week I want to leave you with one of his probably most popular songs, and it was a big hit around the world, I Think I Love You. So until next week, I know we love you. Bye for now.